Mi pasión es comunicar. Nací en los medios y aprendí que la libertad de expresión forja un pensamiento más sólido. Y es por eso que en Central FM nos renovamos. ¿Para qué? Para estar mucho más cerca de ti. Síguenos en todas las plataformas digitales. Te invito.
¿Cómo están, queridos amigos? Los saludo con muchísimo gusto esta mañana. Yo soy Dore Ferriz y a nombre de este maravilloso equipo, decirles que para nosotros es un placer poder estar con todos ustedes. Quiero invitarnos a que nos sigan en todas las plataformas digitales que tenemos a su disposición, las que nos quedan, por supuesto. Estamos a sus órdenes en el canal de YouTube, estamos en Facebook, estamos en todas las plataformas de podcast imaginables, estamos en Deezer, estamos en Spotify, en iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, y ahí nos buscas muy fácil como Central Equilibrio o como Dore Ferriz o como Pedro Ferriz. Realmente ahí nada más le tecleas 2 segunditos y te podemos acompañar a donde quiera que tú vayas. Fíjense que a lo largo de esta semana me he dado cuenta que, no sé, pasó el eclipse y a raíz del eclipse hemos tenido un montón de pláticas espirituales. Hay una sociedad que en este momento quiere abrir los ojos para tener un nivel de espiritual mucho más pesado, mucho más robusto. Y hemos tenido una serie de entrevistas que han sido de lo más interesantes, pero hoy tengo el placer de poder entrevistar a un hombre que se apareció en mi vida y que se volvió parte de mi familia y que hoy puedo decir que es un gran amigo y estoy segura que les va a abrir la mente. Antes de continuar, quiero saludar con todo mi cariño a Moni, que no puede faltar mi Moni. Muy buenos días, Moni, ¿cómo estás? Bendiciones para ti también. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Te saludo, Dolores. Te mando un beso enorme. Gracias por estar. Elizabeth de la Mora, te mando todo mi corazón. Y bueno, si ustedes me lo permiten, yo soy de esta creencia, igual y me equivoco, por favor, díganmelo. Yo siento que mi auditorio habla inglés. Ahora, si no hablan inglés, por favor, háganmelo saber para hacer una traducción simultánea de esta siguiente entrevista que vamos a tener, que les repito, es con un hombre que adoro. No sé qué es lo que me pasa con él, pero saca lo mejor de mí y yo estoy segura que sacará lo mejor de ustedes. Mi queridísimo Dane Harris in the house. I'm just gonna, hey, sweetie, how are you doing?
Oh, I am phenomenal. How are you?
You know what? I am so happy to start off my day with you, because as I told you, you have to make your days happen as you want them to be. And you've always been my miracle. And I believe that I'm starting the day with the right foot.
Thank you. I am honored.
I am honored too, Jane.
You know, your lightness and your joy brings a lightness to all of us. All of us that know you, all of us that get to listen to you. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Me too, because I think that today could be the day where someone somewhere is listening to us and we're about to change their lives forever.
Yes.
So I have that feeling inside of me. So the first thing, so the audience knows you. You've been here before. They know you because we talked about this book. That's my Bible. It's an amazing book. Monica, I send you kisses over there. She's right in the back. And I was thinking yesterday, I've been to many meetings. And when you meet someone, they always ask you 2 questions. What is your name and what do you do? And I started to think, my God, it's so hard to define yourself like in 2 words. How do you do that? How do you get to define yourself?
I don't. I specifically do not define myself. People say, what is your name? I will tell them my name and they say, what do you do? And it always depends on the person, because what I'm interested in is creating more lightness in people's lives and in our world. So sometimes I say, oh, I'm a miracle worker, or, hey, I do my best to make people happy. Or, I created this weird part of creating this stuff called access consciousness. And the idea is that you can access the consciousness that's already within you to create the miraculous life you always knew should be possible. And that's what I do. So it's like, it depends on the moment and the day. And I also realize that most people aren't usually listening anyway. So when they say, who are you? What's your name? What do you do? They usually forget your name, have to be reminded of that. What do you do? And so what I do is I just like present a little lightness in their world energetically, regardless of what I say.
I love it. And you know what I love the most? That you don't need to define yourself just to fit in. That's the biggest part. We are so used to having a definition of ourselves. I'm like a description of who you are, and that is not totally correct, is it? I don't know.
Never. Well, it's like, it's like trying to put yourself in a box, but it's like, it's like trying to put an octopus in a box, and the legs are out here, and it's like, let me shut the box, let me, no, none of us fits in a box. And so, and you can still be honoring of others, have a conversation with them, but trying to put you in a box is never a kindness. And even if you say, for example, yes, I have children, which indicates you're a mother or a father, but what does that mean? That there are so many different types of mothers and fathers. There's no box that fits mother or father. It's, I have these kids, I have this business, I have all of this, but really what's true for me is I want to see a happier world. So I do everything I can to bring more happiness to people and let them know they have choice. It's like, let's, and once again, we live in a world in which having an actual conversation like that with most people is not something that most people are willing to have. Most people. So, and all you got to do is do this. Just speak to what people are willing to hear, because everybody's willing to hear something different. If you speak to what they're willing to hear, what it does is create a connection between you and them where they're willing to hear, that's when they're willing to hear what you might actually have to say. And that's where they're willing to confide in you what's really going on for them, because they feel honored because you've spoken their language, so to speak.
I know. I feel that most of the people out in the world feel unheard. And that is why, or that must be why, or the reason why there's so much depression, Dane. After COVID, we met ourselves in the mirror and we said, damn, what am I doing with this life? And a lot of people just got depressed, and a lot of other people decided to change. And that's very important. Be open to change, to real change. And I think you're the expert in that. How do you open yourself to change?
Well, I think it's the willingness to recognize that you're not wrong if you desire something different. In fact, my point of view is I will always desire more and greater until the day I die, And right as I get close to dying, I'm going to be like, okay, no, I know I planned a coffin, but I want a better one, like, hey, let's glitz this thing out, And so we need to recognize that it's not wrong to ask for more. But a lot of us, when we were little kids, we would say, Mommy, I want this. And they'd be like, okay. And they would say, why do you always ask for so much? Can't you be happy with what you have?
Oh, yeah.
And so we have this lie that if you're asking for more, you're not happy with what you have. What about both? What about being grateful and happy for what you have and desiring more? That's my fundamental point of view. Is I am very grateful for the life I have. I'm very grateful for the people in it. I'm grateful for everything in my life, even the crap. And the funny part is when you're grateful for the crap, you can flush the crap a lot faster. Okay.
Because you
Really helpful.
recognize it. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're like, oh wow, isn't it great that this person is such a jerk? Wow, cool, that's awesome. At least I know where they're coming from. Okay, thank you. I don't have to be stuck by it anymore because I'm grateful for it. So I'm grateful for everything, but I'm also always asking for more. And if we can recognize that's okay, and we live in a world in which people want to try to get down to the lowest common denominator as though that's somehow better, they want to do with as little as possible and be okay with it, as though that's the world they need to live in and put up with. And I see things differently. I used to function from there, but I see things differently. And in fact, on if I can illustrate this from a different place, I was watching a physicist, her name is Cleo Abrams, I think, on YouTube. And she was talking about clean energy. And I love the way she put it, because what she said, so many people have the point of view that we need to cut back so we can save the planet. She's like, no, we need to do things differently and continue to grow and expand. In other words, we need more than enough energy to fulfill our needs. We need more than enough energy to fulfill what we need today, also into the future. But what are the new ways that we can do that are not destructive to the planet? Yeah. And that's my point of view, it's like, because we think that we're doing something great when we cut things out of our lives so we can live within our means. But what about what else can I add to my life that will increase my means?
Oh, that's totally true. We are so used to just following the crowd, thinking the way they think or the way they teach us to think. And what we need to do is just ask different questions. I love scientists in that matter because they always ask uncomfortable questions, which might have an answer or not. And it's okay not to have the answer, right? Because every time that we ask a question, we want an answer. And that is wrong, Dave.
It's not how it works. Exactly. And the thing about, the real purpose of asking a question, and, I love the scientists that actually ask questions that don't pre-conclude, because what that does is that explores, it's like, what actually is going on here, as a question. And the actual purpose of asking questions is to open up other awarenesses that were not there before, open up other ways of doing things, open up other possibilities. One of my favorite questions is, what else is possible here that I've never considered? Because we have a choice in our lives. We can be in the conclusion, oh, this is what's going on. And when we're in that conclusion, that's all we see. And nothing that doesn't, if we make a decision, a judgment, a conclusion about anything, that's all we will allow as our world. But instead, on the other side, if we ask a question, like, what else is possible here I've never considered? What's it going to take to change this? How does it get any better than this thing that's showing up? How does it get any better than this? What happens is, rather than concaving, like contracting into this is the only thing that can happen, what we do is we reverse that. We expand out into what God and the universe would like us to have, which is infinite, which,
everything.
Yeah,
I know. I grew up in a family, and my story, but and the audience knows my story, but my grandpa, he was a big fan of the universe, and he always believed in aliens and ovnis and everything that we could not testify, because he said, just look above. There's an infinite world outside. It comes in many forms and many energies, and it's absolutely insane. So this, what we have, it's not the only thing that there is. So my family is a believer. We are believers. Yeah, we are. So When you have this perspective of life, it becomes easier. But I believe that there's a lot of people that in this planet that have religions and they believe in certain things and they will never come out of that box. And
Yeah.
coming out of the box, it's so very important because it could change your life. It happened to you, Dane.
Oh,
That day that you said, you know what? I've had enough. I'm changing myself. And you
yeah.
open yourself to this world of possibilities, and it changed your life, right?
Oh, it changed everything. You know, I was from the time I was a young kid, I was a seeker, you know, I was always looking to how do we do this differently? How do we do this differently? You know, and so I was doing 23 years ago, I was doing metaphysical stuff and psychological stuff and money stuff and all this stuff, you know. And I knew there should be something else possible. And I'd go to weekend workshops and I would feel so many times by the end of the workshop, I was like, yay, I have the answer. I can be happy now. I was looking for more than anything else was to be happy. And and what would usually happen is 2 or 3 days later, it felt like every problem I had was back and the universe caved in on my head again. And I'm like, oh, and it was literally on a Wednesday, a little over 23 years ago, where that happened again. Weekend workshop, happy, came home. And by Wednesday, I woke up and I was in worse shape than when I had gone to the workshop. And I finally, in my 30 years on the planet for the first time, had given up hope. And it's interesting because I experienced abuse. I experienced really mean people when I was growing up. I experienced being beaten, and I still knew things were possible. Well, this day was it. And I said, universe, you have 6 months. Either my life changes or I'm out of here. Well, I came across something called Access Consciousness, and it said, Access, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And of course, I was so happy. No, I was not. I wanted to kill the person that put the ad in the paper. I'm like, my life is pain, suffering, and gory. What do you mean ease, joy, and glory? I hate you. And but I learned that if you love something or hate it, there's something there for you. So I called and I ended up scheduling a session because when I was talking to this person, they were just like a happy marshmallow. And I didn't have anybody in my life that was just being there with me, kind of, you know, nice, happy, present. So I had this session of what we call Access Consciousness bars. And it's a light touch technique that's done on the head. And so basically this lady I don't know puts her hands on my head, right? And the first thing that occurred was this sense of peace. And I was like, oh, wow. Because I had been unhappy for the better part of 3 years. Okay. And I was seeking, but not finding anything that changed it for very long. And so there was a sense of peace. And then after about 15 minutes, I started giggling like a little kid. And I was like, it was so good. And an hour and 15 minutes later, I get up and I look around. I'm like, has it always been this beautiful here? I said, if life can feel this way, I'm in. And it created a space for me that I had not had, if ever. I had it maybe when I was a kid at a certain point, but it created a space for me that let me know that things could be different. And it literally saved my life in an hour and 15 minutes. And from that point, it wasn't just that, but she would give me tools to use when the universe wanted to cave back in on my head. When things would go from light to heavy, she'd give me a tool to use. Like the first one was, who does this belong to? And I'm like, what is that? She said, well, 98% of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions are things you pick up from other people. Like, have you ever been around sad people and you notice you get sad? I'm like, yeah. She said, well, you ever notice when you're unhappy people, you tend to get happier? I'm like, yeah. She's like, why do you think that is? I went, I don't know. I never thought about it. She's like, it's because we're picking up on the vibration, you know? We're picking it like a radio receiver. I was like, oh. And I said, so what about my sadness? She's like, ask who does this belong to when you have it? And my depression and my suicidal thoughts, she said, ask who does this belong to? And I went, okay. So the next time the universe wanted to cave in on my head, I just was with that thing where I didn't even know what it was. I just went, wait, who does this belong to? And I went,
yeah, that's not mine. Yeah, it's like, excuse me, you're
Dude.
disturbing my peace. That is not mine. And it is true, because you're saying this every time that you want to shine, because we're like Beyonce. We are stars. We shine. You want to shine, and there are some days that you don't find your glitter. Where there are those days that you feel like overwhelmed, maybe, or depressed, or something happened, and you are not at your best. So it is true that as human beings, we are vulnerable. So it's okay to feel bad sometimes, but it's okay to know that there are tools that can make you feel better even in your grace days, right?
Absolutely. And here's the interesting part that I've noticed. And I just want people to know this is possible, to actually have your life, the trajectory of your life, just keep going up and up and up. And when you do hit downs, because this is a crucial point, we have to realize no matter what we're doing, we're going to have ups and we're going to have downs.
Yeah.
Okay. This is
Yeah.
not, oh, I did this once and I've been happy since. I'm sure that's happened for somebody, but not. So anyway, I just want to acknowledge that. But what happens is the ups just keep getting higher, and the downs, rather than way down, they're just a little bit down. And you're like, oh, and then you use a tool, and like, who does this belong to? Or how does it get any better than this? Or pock and pod, so you can get over your points of view that you've held in place. And the up cycle starts again. And it's a continuously greater experience of being alive. And by greater, for me, the way I look at that is liking being alive more and knowing that you can change the things you want to change, and having a sense of gratitude for your life, and also a sense of gratitude for the people in it. And yeah, it's like, goodness, I mean, there's so much beauty in our lives, and most of us have been taught to not notice, thinking that we can only notice the beauty when our lives are perfect.
Exactly. You know what happened to me the other day? I stopped trusting people because of a lot of betrays and stuff that happens in your life. That obviously that's something good, because you don't want that, and you can throw it away, right? But the other day, as you know, I have this condition where I faint. And I was going to the markets in Mexico, and I started to feel all the things that I feel before I faint. So I stopped seeing, I stopped feeling the tongue and the hand, and I was like, my God, I need to get to the market so that somebody can help me. So I got to the market. I could barely see. I couldn't feel my body at all. I was sweating cold. And I just approached to a guy random in the market. And I didn't know if he was going to help me or not. And I was like, I just need some help, please. I'm fainting. And he was like, what do you need? I need these things. Can you please help me lay down and put my feet up? And I need a medication. And my God, he went to get the medication. He laid me down in the market. He helped me out all the way. And I didn't even know that person. I was so thankful, Dane, because those are the things that give you back hope.
Yes.
When you understand that you've been doing good, and then somebody will retribute you back, right? That you can trust people, and it gives you hope. And I think those things are amazing. Miracles happen every day, and you have the tools to make them happen all the time with the access bars, right?
Absolutely. And I just have to say, that experience with him, that's the world I would like to live in. I would like that to be our world, where people have enough of a sense of themselves, and also because people don't contribute to others because they feel like they don't have enough themselves. So they're always looking for somebody to give to them, to fill them up. And yet we're the only ones who can fill us up. And then we can be enriched by others and also contribute to others. And it's greater all the way around. And with the Access Consciousness bars and all the tools that you get along with it, see, what the bars do is they dissipate the polarity, the electromagnetic component of thought and polarity. And so what that is like, let's say, I mentioned the word money, for example, and that's a trigger for a lot of people. Just one word, and we hear it all the time, but all of the yuck and the stuck stuff that comes up, those are all the positive and negative points of view that we have that are running us from behind the scenes that we don't even realize we have. So what the bars do is they dissipate those. And so what happens is now, rather than somebody saying, now when somebody says money, you're like, oh, money, cool. What's up with money? Rather than money, PTSD, Or if somebody says mommy, mommy and money are very similar, words for a lot of people. Now, I know for you not. You have a wonderful mom.
I do.
You're so, your mother, your father, it's like you lucked out, lady. That's great. Okay. But most people have so much trauma from just say mom to them, or your mom is coming. Okay. And so what the bars do is whatever you need the most change with, it does it. And there's 32 points on the head that we teach people to do with the bars. And they have names like money, body, joy, sadness, control, creativity, communication, time and space. And what happens is when you get these bars is all of your points of view that stick you around the topic, whatever that point is out of these 32 points, it just goes away. And there's a little snippet of Access Bars Day. And we actually have our Global Access Bars Day coming up on Saturday. And yay. And there's actually a Global Access Bars class where you can learn how to do it on the next day, on Sunday. And we have what we call POPs, Parties of Possibilities, all throughout Mexico, actually all throughout the world. But your audience is probably more interested in what might be going on in Mexico. And we have a website set up where you can go there and check it out. And you can come on Saturday and get your bars run. If you like it, you can learn how to do it on Sunday. And this is our desire to contribute this to all of our brothers and sisters on this beautiful planet.
I know.
It's all of us, man.
Yeah,
it's created on our planet, and its future is up to all of us. And the more space we have, and the less trauma and drama we have to do, even if we're Latino. No, sorry, did I say that? The easier it gets for all of us.
I know. The first time I went to bars, I was like, I just didn't get it. So Fernanda told me, just lay down, Dore, okay? Just lay down and relax and just feel it. And she started to touch part of my head, and it was Cesar who did it. And I started to feel the same way you did. Peace. It was like a big massage, but not for the body. It was like for the thoughts and for the soul. You feel relieved. You feel relieved. And it doesn't matter if you're out there and you're listening to this program and you're saying like, what the fuck is the access? It's okay if you don't know. Just get there. Just go. Just feel better. You'll have the experience, and then you'll fall in love with the experience, and then things will happen to you for no reason whatsoever. It's just like that. It is that simple.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. It's that simple. It's like you can't figure it out. And, and one of the beautiful things that it does is it increases our receiving. And receiving is not something most of us do very well, Dore.
I know.
You know, but and
Yeah.
what's interesting also is so many of the really strong, powerful people in the world who um, who take it upon themselves to contribute to others and make everything happen. It's like when they open up to receiving, their ability to do that gets greater, but it's from a softer space. And it's so interesting. And the thing is, you have no idea how much ease and how much happiness you can have until you experience it. You know, you have no idea how much can be released until you experience it. I didn't know. Had I known, I would have done it a lot sooner. You know, I didn't even know it existed, but kind of like you, it's like, I don't get it, you know, and somebody's like, here, lie down and receive. Okay, fine. You know, and when you do, it's like, oh, wow, receiving is awesome. Who knew receiving could be awesome?
I know, because we're givers, right?
Yeah.
We're protectors. So you give, you give, you give, you give. And as soon as you get something, you feel like vulnerable and you're like, what is this? And when you open yourself up to receiving, it's too great. It's just wonderful. If you, let me ask you one thing. If you had, like, right now, 8 years old, and you knew this information beforehand, would you have changed something about your childhood?
Oh,
Because I have kids, you know.
everything, actually. And this is an interesting thing because, you know, we're talking about bars, but we have a lot of other ways of changing things also in access, and bars is sort of the beginning. But one of the things that we do is we acknowledge that people know. You know, our tagline is empowering people to know that they know, which just that kind of, you hear it and you're like, ah, you know, your brain kind of goes, you know, short circuit for a minute. But as part of that, one of the things that we see is the kids that come to access, you know, their parents will bring them, or there are times where the kids make the parents come to access because they're like, Mom, Dad, you need this because I want you to get happier. Okay. You know, it's so adorable. And so we'll see that. But the kids that come to access and use these tools, they are, most of them are so well adjusted, but also most of them become the leaders in their schools, the leaders in their friend groups, oftentimes the leaders for possibilities in their family. You know, we talked about that tool, who does this belong to? There was this 4-year-old little girl who was so cute. And she and her mom brought her to Access. She'd been coming to Access for almost a year, since she was 3. And her mom was in the front of the car just ranting about something, you know, and talking about how upset she was. And the kid was in the back in the child seat. And the kid looks at her mom and goes, Mommy, who does this belong to? And her mom went, oh, who does this belong to? And it went away because her mom was picking up on all these people who were thinking of her with their trauma and drama. And it's just such a great example of how, because kids have no filters, you know, and so they're just willing to, if it makes them feel better, if it takes them from heavy to light, they're going to do it, unless they're using the heavy to manipulate their parents, and then they won't do it, you know? So, you know,
Yeah.
that, and, you know, kids are really pragmatic, but it's like, for me, I realized if I had these tools when I was 8 years old, I would have navigated everything differently. And just from, even one of the main things, and one of the big things I'd like everybody to get, is this awareness that what's true for you will always make you lighter. A lie for you will always make you heavier. So if we just instituted that, wow, this makes me heavy, this is not true for me. Well, then what's going on? Where's the lie, and what is true for me? You know, once again, so we have that, and then we go to question again. So if people out there, in addition to perhaps please try bars, come somewhere, get your bars run on Saturday. Come play. It's fun. Come play.
Yeah.
And plus there's a bunch of other people around that are as weird as you are, or as just like people just want to see you be you and be happy. It's wonderful. But in addition to that, if you recognize what's true for you makes you lighter, a lie makes you heavier, stop focusing on the heavy stuff. Focus on the light stuff and bring more of that. Choose more things that make you lighter. Over time, your life will become lighter and lighter and lighter, which is where we have the happiness, which is where we have the joy, which is where we have the sense of connection with other people and things are easy. And then if you recognize there's a gift in asking questions rather than coming to conclusion, like what else is possible? What's it going to take to change this? How much fun can I have? How does it get any better than this?
And it changes everything.
It
As
really
you
does.
know, and the audience knows as well. So my daughter has type 1 diabetes, right? And there are some days when she has a glucose all over. And as soon as she starts to use the tools that she learned from you, glucose goes down. Dane.
Wow.
And I want people to know this because I believe that it is important. There's a lot of people that are going through a lot of chronic pains or chronic diseases, and they believe that their disease is a punishment or is a condition they have to live under, and that is absolutely not true. Sometimes, take therapy and everything, but really, when you get into bars, there's a whole new way for you to conceive your body. Because I believe that point is very important, Dane. You asked that question, do you have a body? And after that question, and you respect it, and you have the tools then to heal, because it's true.
Yeah, really.
It is.
And
It's not
it doesn't
just the soul, it's the body as well.
Yeah, and our bodies have such awareness, and we don't often give them credit. We think, oh well, I am the soul, I'm the being, and and we just sort of try to ignore our bodies, but they are amazing. And one of the interesting things that bars does is create a place where you and your body have more ease. Where you have more ease with your body, and it also can change a lot of things with people's bodies, because for any disease process to be there, and they've done studies and found this, that for any disease process to be there have to be points of view that are underneath it. And so, and we've seen this energetically, really dynamically. And so like what you talk about with your daughter, she uses the tools, asks the questions, gets bars, and her glucose goes down. Yeah. And that's how we can be. So what Access is really about, and what the bars are about, is letting us be what we've always had the capacity to be, what we actually are.
Yeah, because sometimes we do not fit in our body. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
Am I wrong? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, we grow up judging our bodies from the time we can even talk, We're taught to do that from everybody else around us. And so your best friend, the thing that is with you all the time, you're in a constant state of judgment of. And the weird part is you get more of what you judge. So when you judge, oh my God, these are baggy, I have too many wrinkles, these are saggy, you get more baggy, saggy wrinkles. So
that's true.
Stop the judgment. But that's one of the things the bars does also, is it gets us out of judgment. And you start to realize, why would I judge? Judgment, there's a certain point at which you turn this switch, or turn this corner in your world, where you realize it takes so much energy to judge me or somebody else, my body or somebody else. I would rather put my energy into something more fun. And that's a really cool space.
Oh yeah. And under that statement, So yesterday I was also talking to my kid, to Thibault, and he was like, "Ma, you know what? I think I have a gift." And I was like, "Yeah, you do have many gifts. Which one are we talking about right now?"
Mhm.
I see. I can see a people's life just by watching at them. If I meet someone, I know if that person is having trouble with mom or dad or something with health. I see people, but there's a problem that I'm going through. So I can see these things, but I'm very judgy. When I get to observe, how can I get rid of that? How can I just see like stuff without saying this is a bad person? For example, he was analyzing a girl, and she was like, "Well, she has an uncle, and he doesn't love her, and those sort of things." And he was like, how can I not judge the uncle?" And that's a honest question I want to ask.
No,
For us, that it's complicated.
yeah, no, it's a great question. And let's recognize that so many of us are so aware of people and we think we're judging them. But what I found is we're so aware of the judgments they have of themselves and we think we're judging them. I've met your son, I've met you. I'm sorry, you guys are not people who judge others. Yeah, you'll
No.
judge yourself, okay, but you don't judge other people. And this is something a lot of us really need to get. If you're somebody who listens to or watches Dore's show regularly, I'm going to say that for the most part, you don't judge other people. You just think you do. And this is a big, see, you know how I talked about what's true makes you lighter, number one. Okay. And who does this belong to? Based on 98% of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions and our judgments are things we pick up from other people. Or should I say, what we think are our judgments. And we've really got to get that we're so keenly aware of where other people are judging themselves. And the thing is, most of us would like to take that away from them. We don't want them to judge themselves. And it's easier for us to think that we're judgmental rather than thinking that they're in judgment of themselves or they're in judgment of somebody else. And so this is where the clearing statement comes in. So every time you think you're judging you or judging somebody else, you want to go, who does this belong to? Am I aware of their judgment of themselves? And everything that makes me judge or makes me think I'm judging, POC and POD, right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all nine shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. That's a clearing statement. It's one of the biggest upgrades in personal development since personal development has been around. And the POC and the POD in the center are about going back to the point of creation of wherever you bought the fixed point of view. Let's say the lie that you're judging somebody, and undo that point of view so you don't have to live with that point of view anymore. It's a way of changing any fixed point of view that we have.
Oh, that's so amazing. Hey, Dane, have you ever met God?
I see God in so many places, in so many faces. And I feel so blessed because I get to see the beauty of beings, people all around the world. And given the nature of the classes I facilitate, bars being one of them, there's this beauty that most people try to hide from most of the world. You know, the idea is if I expose this, and I could really be hurt if somebody does something bad to this actual me, right? And so most people walk around in their lives behind walls and barriers to be socially appropriate and create an appropriate image. But most of it is about, I don't want to show you my soft underbelly. I don't want to show you the beauty of the things that I know, and the ways that I feel, and the ways and the things I believe, and the things I know can exist. And I get to see that. It's one of the greatest gifts of my life, is to be in the presence of roomfuls of people. And there's just this immense, intense, sometimes, beauty that, and what's interesting is, as one person chooses to just let go of the facade, the image, and the walls, it's amazing how you can perceive it melt through the entire room. And
Yeah.
that, for me, yeah, I would say I see God.
Yeah, because, and I wanted just to make it clear, I do not believe in God as a lot of people think that you need to believe in God. God is not a person. God is not that guy that you see inside a church drawn by somebody. It's an energy, and it has a feeling. Would you describe that? It's like it's yeah, it feels in the skin and the body. Do you feel it the same way?
Yeah, and I would say, people know that sensation,
Yeah.
and we all do. And my point of view is, whatever your experience is of that, that's your experience, and nobody else can fully grasp it. We can talk around it, we can acknowledge commonalities, but
Yeah.
it's each of us who has this brilliant interaction with what I call, the consciousness of the universe. And, and people have different names for it, but we each interact with it in our own way. And let's acknowledge that, like, I can't get it your way exactly. I can acknowledge that, yeah, there's a lot of what you're talking about that I get too, but
Hey,
so I can
good
use
stuff.
yours. Yeah, it's like I can use yours to add to mine. You can use mine to add to yours. And we live in a world in which, if you tell me yours, then I'm supposed to either align and agree with you and go, oh, that's the right way, and give up my own, or reject yours. And so I only have my own. But the way this works is, let me have your awareness, your greatness in this area, add to mine, and vice versa.
I know. It's incredible because there's a force. Yesterday we were talking about magnetism, and you know me, I'm just crazy. When I plan a program, I'm like, I'm gonna talk about magnetism. Why not? Of course, I couldn't understand shit beforehand, and I was like, how can I explain magnetism? Right? It's you have two positive elect um, energies, and they can match, and you need a positive and a negative to match. And then the world has a kind of magnetism. And it is true that when you have a thought and when you open up to different things, there is a magnetism that is totally proved, where you can pull some electrodos, yeah, to your side. Do you believe in the same, that it happens kind of the same way? You can feel the force of the energy. You can actually feel it when you want to put two magnets together. There is a force. You cannot see it, but there is a force.
Oh,
Of
absolutely.
course,
And
people
like
do.
you said, quantum physics, right there, that's quantum physics. It's like, if you have a thought, there's a similar vibration that brings that into your reality, and you can sense it. And, for me, what I tell people is, your point of view creates your reality. Reality does not create your point of view. So if you have the point of view that something is easy, it's easy for you. Whereas a person sitting next to you has a point of view that's difficult, it's difficult for them. Same thing. What's the difference is the point of view we have about it. And the beauty is, one of our greatest abilities and one of the greatest things we have power over is the points of view that we choose. And one of the things we do a lot with Access is we use this clearing statement and questions and different things so that people can get over the fixed points of view that are creating the fixed places in their life, so they can have an interesting point of view, so they can have a limitless life where things are changeable.
I've had the chance to listen to energies that are around us, and there is such a thing as a world where you can create whatever you need immediately. Have you heard about that one?
Yeah.
Yep. And it's like one dimension away. So it is true that we can totally create our world, and it all depends on the power of the thought. El poder de pensamiento, the power of the power of thought. Let me put it in other words. When we die, we leave our body in this planet, but the power of our thoughts remain, right? So that's why there's a lot of phantoms. I'd say that. And in that power, where there is no body, but there is the thought, you can transform your world as well. So why not use that right now instead of after we're dead? Because you can have fun in this life.
Exactly. And you are so correct. That power is there. Let's use it now. And that's the, like when we were speaking about bars, it's like you have no idea how relaxed you could be until you get to relax. You have no idea how much space you can be until you get to be the space. You have no idea how easily you can change things until you change things, and it's like, it's so interesting that we have so many capacities, but we keep limiting what we will allow in our awareness of what's possible. And let's expand that. Let's expand our awareness to way greater, and it sounds, and here's the interesting part. I mean, I've been doing this work for the last 23 years. And so I know this is possible, and I can understand if you're at a place like I was 23 years ago, where you're like, yeah, right. It's not possible. Hey, I totally get it. Don't kill the messenger. I'm just here to let you know there may be something different possible. And whether it's access consciousness or not, doesn't matter to me. Just that you realize that the life you truly desire, you have the capacity to create. You just need some tools and some inspiration, and keep listening to Dore for the inspiration and a lot of the tools, but follow your knowing. Once again, what's true for you makes you lighter. Follow whatever it is that makes you lighter. You will create more lightness in your life.
Yeah, totally. I agree. And you've what you're doing this weekend, it's crazy, and it's so magnificent because it is a world thing. You're making, yeah, you will be all over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my, people, you need to listen to this. This will be the biggest ever in the world. We need to make a Guinness World Records of the Global Bars Day. And you definitely have to be part of this day, which will be unique, where Dane is breaking his own expectations, and he's making everything possible. So how is it gonna be, Dane, to be able to access the bars?
Yeah, well, so Saturday is Global Access Bars Day, which is a truly worldwide event, broadcast in languages and places all over the world. And you go to globalaccessbarsday.com, And there you go, globalaccessbarsday.com. So you can get all the information for that, because we will be streaming. There's about 13 hours of streaming that we will be doing on that day. And it's a celebration of possibilities of lightness. And there are many places you can go and get your bars run around the world on that day. So if you go to globalaccessbarsday.com, you can search, and those people at the top, we're all going to be doing a live segment, not all together, but there will be many live segments, because we have time for the Americas, we have a time for Australia and New Zealand, and we have a European time zone that things will be broadcast. And then that's Saturday. So please check it out, Global Access Bars Day. Go get your bars run. It's free. And that's footage from last year's Global Bars Day, which was just wonderful. And the gentleman dancing in black is Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, who is just such an amazing man.
I love Gary. He's like happiness walking, no?
Totally. He's truly.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the best, as you are the best. And really, Dane, I am so proud of what you're doing. I feel that you have this absolute mission to help a lot of people. And when you mean a lot, it's a lot of people. I know that this energetically is very tiring, because it consumes a lot of energy that you put into this, into the world. So I really, I wish that you can change the world, that you're relaxed in spirit, and that this day would mark us forever. You know, you can start this weekend and change forever. That's so amazing, Dane.
Thank you. And I am so grateful. And it's such a gift to have people like you that actually get it, that actually are acknowledging of that, and acknowledging of the gift that the bars is, the gift that those of us that are putting this into the world are. And what that does for me is your gratitude, your acknowledgement, as well as people around the world, that's the wind beneath my wings, you know? And when somebody receives it and go, yes, my whole life changed, that's the coolest thing in the whole wide world.
Yeah, and because that's the idea.
Yeah, exactly that. And so, you know, there was the graphic there. There's a Global Access Bars class on Sunday, and it's the one bars class that I facilitate a year. There's lots of other facilitators that facilitate the class, but it's the one class that I facilitate, and it's the one time where you can take it online and get credit for it. And it truly, for me, was the beginning of transforming my life from suffering to happiness. And so consider yourself warmly invited to participate in that on Sunday also.
Yeah, I'll be there. I already spoke with Sarah, and I want to be part of this moment, Dane. I want to be part of this day, because I love you guys, because you're my family, and I just want to be there for you. And I want to be in the moment when miracles happen, because they do. And it's amazing. It transforms your life. So my daughter Dore, she was like, "Mom, please, can I come with you?" And I was like, "Really? You want to come?" "Oh yeah, I love Dane and Sarah, and I want to be there because they are so kind, and I want to learn everything about them." So yeah, we're gonna be there, Dane.
Yay!
Rocking the world.
Awesome.
Rocking the world.
I am so glad, and I am honored to have you there.
Yeah, thank you, sweetie. You're the best. You're the best.
So
you know
are
I love you
you.
so much.
That is so mutual. That's so great.
I love you. I send you a lot of kisses, Dane. Thank you so very much for letting me be part of this transformation, for trusting in my work to to acknowledge yours because it's a lot of work that you do, and I totally respect that. Thank you very much for your trust, Dane.
Oh,
And I love you so very much.
thank you, my phenomenal friend. I love you too, and I can't wait to see you in person soon.
Yeah, I know. I know. I think I'm going to go visit someday soon.
Yay.
Because, yay!
Oh, and I'm coming to Mexico City in December for a Being You Changing the World class. So if you manage to avoid me until then, at least we'll see each other then.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see each other then. But before that, that'll be great.
Please.
And yeah, Dane, you count on me all the time. You're my brother, so I love you.
Thank you.
Thank you, baby. I love you so much.
Love you too. Mwah.
Big kisses. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Queridos amigos, ahí lo tienen, Dane Hair. Miren, se los voy a poner así. Sí, el dolor, el sufrimiento, la pena, todo lo vivimos porque somos seres humanos y habitamos esta piel. Pero como les he dicho en un montón de ocasiones, tenemos las herramientas para cambiarlo. Bars o Access es una gran herramienta y no se lo pueden perder. O sea, porque es en línea, puedes ir presencial, de cualquier manera. Cambia tu mundo, cambia tu vida, cambia tu chip, acéptate como tú eres y les invito a que se metan a esta página, globalaccessbarsday.com. Gracias por su presencia, gracias por permitirme estar con todos ustedes un día más. Gracias por escuchar, porque creo que Dane lo dijo al principio de la entrevista y tiene mucha razón. Habrá quien quiera escucharte. Y yo sé que hoy hubo quien quiso escuchar y quien quiso cambiar su vida. Les mando todo mi cariño. Yo soy Dore Ferriz. Nos escuchamos el día de mañana. Mañana que es jueves, ¿verdad? Mañana. Ay, oigan, ven, les digo, está cañón. Mañana vamos a estar platicando con Luisa Altamirano. Esta chava es una empresaria mexicana súper fregona que igual pasó por una vida tormentosa y cambió su vida. Y escribe el libro Vibra Alto, Brilla Siempre y Vibra Bonito. Les puse por ahí la foto el fin de semana, no se lo pueden perder. Aquí los espero el día de mañana, igual en punto de las 9 de la mañana. Yo soy Dore Ferriz y a nombre de Marilucita y de Jerry, me despido. Nos escuchamos mañana. Besos para todos.